Hey, hi guys. A very good evening to all of you and hope you're doing well and safe. So today we'll be having a demo on the Camunda BPM. Something about me. So I have 7 years of experience in IT industry and mostly it is in BPM only. So I have started my career as a BPM developer, work on multiple BPM tools like Flowable, Signavio, Camunda. So mostly majorly in Camunda itself. And I have also worked on various types of projects as well. So I have various domain knowledges like telecom, MDM, hospitality, banking, advertisement, insurance, e-commerce as such as well. So I have a training experience of 3 years. Yeah, that's about me, guys. Today, what we will be covering is the Camunda BPM introduction and why it's needed basically. What is the need of BPMN in today's IT industry and how Camunda BPM is leading to that. Some BPMN standard notations and their practical usage, why it is necessary or so. Then we'll be covering the course outline and then a brief about Camunda platform and configuring and running a simple process basically. So first, let me go through what is BPM. So BPM stands for Business Process Management. BPM enables organization to align business functions with customer needs. When properly executed, BPM has the ability to enhance efficiency and productivity, thereby reduce cost and minimize error and risk. Camunda BPM is one such tool which is very much popular in BPM space. Various companies in different domains use Camunda BPM for their process automation. Camunda BPM enables some of the most competitive organizations around the world to orchestrate and automate complex processes in a new way. It also enables them to build better customer experiences, get to value faster, increase business agility. Camunda provides a developer friendly experience and tools that are easy to get started with. Camunda has a huge customer base across all regions. Camunda comes with a Camunda engine which supports BPMN 2.0, DMN, and CMMN. So, but in later in 2020, what Camunda decided was not to add any more CMMN features to Camunda, and it will simply be maintained but not fully supported. So, CMMN is a case management notation. It was a counter to BPMN notation as such. So, it was for some specific scenarios. So, for which they have declared to not support further. So mostly we will be discussing BPMN and DMN in our training. So going to BPMN, a BPMN workflow is a visual modeling language for business analysis application and specifying enterprise process workflows. BPMN is a global standard for process modeling and one of the most important components of successful business IT alignment. The principle behind BPMN is rather simple, which is why you can start working with this notation very quickly. So that was much about BPMN. DMN is the decision modeling notation. It stands for decision modeling notation. So it is nothing but a rule engine that is provided by Camunda. It is in a tabular format. It is very readable and very easily configurable. So that also we will be covering in our course. So going to the course outline, what we all be covering. The first one will be the introduction and the installation, how Camunda can be configured locally, how to run it in servers and all. The second one will be walking through of Camunda web apps, the Camunda cockpit, admin, task list. These are the web apps provided by Camunda in community version. When you go to enterprise version, it will be few more things, additional things that Camunda will provide. And also the Camunda model. This is the ID provided by Camunda in order to develop the BPMN models or create a DMN table or mapping both these things around. Later we'll be covering Camunda engine as well. What are the engine properties, how the engine is configured, how the engine interacts with the database layer, what are the things of the engine that are being exposed for usage. Then we'll be going through what are the types of tasks that Camunda provides. So basically, there are few more types of tasks. These are all standard notation of BPMN only. So the types of tasks basically are service tasks, script tasks, user tasks, business rule tasks, external tasks, etc. Then we'll be going through Camunda events. So events basically start and intermediate boundary. These are the types, these are categorized based on the place of usage, like where do you use it. So based on the place of usage, these are categorized as start and intermediate and boundary. So there are major these many types of based on the functionality. These are categorized as error event, timer event, message, signal, etc. We will also be covering the gateways. So the gateways means the four types of gateways: exclusive, inclusive, parallel, and event-based gateways. We will all then after we'll be covering the sub-process in Camunda, which are of two types. One is embedded and event-based. We'll be showing you how to mix up those things in order for a better result in your process. Then also we'll be covering the listeners in Camunda. There are two types of listener: the task listener and execution listener. When to use them? What is the requirement of them? Then also we'll be covering the Java API and the REST API provided by Camunda. So these are the API layer provided by Camunda that helps us to interact with the Camunda engine, to store variables, to fetch variables, to modify certain instances, to get certain tasks. Each and everything will be done through these API only. REST API internally uses Java API only of Camunda. Then we'll be going through forms in Camunda. So basically, there are two places where you can use form. One is the start event at the start of the process, or any of the user tasks you can use form. So basically, there are four types of forms which we will be explaining in that part. Now, the next one will be the transaction management in Camunda. So transaction management as such, like how frequently Camunda writes to the database when it is running. When you are running a particular instance, how frequently it writes to the database, how frequently it commits that particular transaction. So in case of any failure or as such, how to revert it back as well. So these all things will be covering in the transaction management in Camunda. Then we will be covering the DMN part as well, and DMN part will also be covered as the business rule task in that part. That will be the total course outline for this one. Additional topics that we will be covering will be the changing of Camunda engine configuration properties. Like firstly, we will be showing you how many configuration properties you can define in Camunda engine configuration properties and how to configure it basically based on your custom requirement also. Then also we'll be covering the process versioning in Camunda. Process versioning is such like when you are deploying multiple versions of a same BPMN process, how Camunda handles it, what is the default configuration for it, and if you want to customize it in your own way, to handle it in your own way, how to do it as well. These things will be covered in process versioning of Camunda. The other thing that we'll be covering is the enterprise features. So as of now, you will be using the community edition that Camunda provides. You will not be having the enterprise license. So we'll be discussing that what are the changes or what are the additional features that you get while using the enterprise license of Camunda. What are the additional things that you will be getting? So we'll be covering that as well. So going forward, let me say you one thing. Let me tell you one thing. So the BPM standard that Camunda follows. So say supposedly if you are creating a BPMN diagram in Camunda, you will be okay to import it to any other BPMN tool that uses the BPMN 2.2 standards as well. So may it be Flowable, may it be Signavio. So you will be easily able to import these BPMN files that you will be creating in Camunda to other BPMN tools as well. So it follows the standard notations in that case. Now let me tell you something about the Camunda platform, how it behaves or so, and how it can be configured. What are the types of configuration in Camunda platform that you can do? So the Camunda platform is a flexible form of work which can be deployed in different scenarios. So as you can see, there are three types of configuration that is shown in this slide. So the first one corresponds to embedded process engine configuration. As you can see, the process engine jar is in top of the Java application. So Java application is your application that you will be using, and you will be configuring this process engine as an embedded part of your certain application. Now, in this way, this process engine can easily be started and stopped with the application lifecycle. So when you start the application, the process engine will start. When you stop the application, the process engine will stop. So based on your requirement, you can go to use this embedded process engine. The next one is the shared process engine. To the right of it, you can see, as you can see here, so there are multiple Java applications that are being configured over a layer of process engine, and both are interacting to the process engine. The process engine is horizontally available to each and every Java application in this second part. Now, in this case, the process engine is started inside the runtime container or the application container or the application server. So the process engine is provided as a container service and can be shared by all applications deployed in the container. So when the application server start, then the process engine will start. So any number of Java applications or any application that you will be deploying to that application server can use the process engine that is already configured in the application server. So there are multiple ways of differentiating which application to use. There is furthermore categorization tenant wise also that we will be discussing in a later scenario. So that is shared in engine for you guys. And lastly, the third one is the remote process engine. So as you can see here, so both are deployed in different platforms, as you can see from the image. So there are three applications have different blocks, and the process engine is in a different block. So in this case, the process engine is provided as a network service. Different application running on the application network can interact with the process engine through a remote communication channel, mostly the REST API that is provided by Camunda. So they use the REST API in order to interact with the process engine. So what happens is, say supposedly you have an application container, you have configured the process engine to use in only that application container only. But what you are doing is that you have your multiple applications that are not deployed to the application server, but they want to use the Camunda engine features. In that scenario, you can go for remote process engine by interacting with the REST API. Now additional course will be available after the, let me go through the process and deploy it to the server. So I am using an IDE STS, so you can use any IDE like Eclipse or IntelliJ as such. So let me create a new Spring Starter project. Let the dependencies be resolved. Now what I have to do is I need to import certain Camunda dependencies to my pom.xml file. Let me do that. Earlier, before Spring Boot, when Camunda started earlier, so what they had to do is that there were multiple dependencies of Camunda that you need to add in your pom.xml, and you need to configure your project structure accordingly, follow accordingly your project structure. But after few version, after the few latest version, it is like you need to add only few dependencies of Camunda Spring Boot. It will auto do the structuring and all. So this one, the example that we will be working on or seeing here is an embedded container only. Embedded container using an H2 database. So H2 database is the default database that comes with Camunda. So it is in-memory database of Camunda by default. So for production usage and such, Camunda advises to go for any other SQL database, say supposedly MySQL or Oracle SQL or PostgreSQL, based on your type of requirement. So as of now, it comes with H2 database, so we need to add that dependency to our project as well. Let me come with these two dependency. The first one is for the starter web app. So web app, what it does is that it gives you the additional resources like cockpit, admin, task list that we will be using in order to start our process or view the task list access that we will be seeing in a later scenario. Let me copy these two. Let me add it to my dependency. Let me add the properties as well. So the Camunda Spring Boot version of the latest one is 7.15.0 that we'll be using. Let me add another dependency for Camunda Spring Boot REST. Just need to change it to Camunda Spring Boot Starter REST. Now we have the required dependencies. Let me map and build the project. Now the build is success. Let me run it as Spring Boot app. Now it is saying that the engine has successfully started. So let us check if the engine has started or not. Go to my browser. Let me add the JXP dependency as well. And update the project. Now let me run the application. That is saying that the demo Camunda application is started. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, we have started the engine for the first time, so it is giving us to add an admin user since there wasn't any admin user found in the database. So go to the sign in page, log in with the account that we just created. So this is the web app that I was talking about. So for interacting with the user, the admin configuration, interacting with cockpit or task list. So that for that reason why we added the web app dependency to it. Now let's see the cockpit, task list. As you can see here, the cockpit is showing blank. There is zero process definition that is being deployed. Task list is also blank. Now what we need to do is that we need to model a BPMN process now. So for modeling, we will be using the Camunda modeler tool, so which you can download from the camunda.com website based on your web configuration or based on your OS. You can download the respective Camunda modeler. I have downloaded. Let me open the modeler. So what we need to do is that we need to create a BPMN diagram. So when you will be downloading the modeler, you won't be seeing this cross sign. This is just a plugin that I have added to Camunda modeler. So now in the left hand side, you see the number of symbols. These are all notations that is provided by Camunda. The right hand side is the properties panel that we will be using in order to specify properties to the tasks or events that we will be using in our BPMN model. As you can see here, when I click on it, it gives me an option to append few things. Let me append a task here, append another task, then the dark circle is append an event. If you hover over it, it will show you what it is. So, because of the plugin, it is giving me an error that I have not added name to it. Now when you click on a task, you can see this wrench icon. This allows you to specify the type of task. So let me go to user task. I will be using user task in this demo. The other one is also user task. Now I have to give an assignee to it. Let me assign it to myself, demo. So as you can see, these properties panel change based on the type of task that we selected. So it changes for each and every type of task or every type of events based on standard notations. Created a user task, check. Let me do one thing. Let me add a form here asking the user his name. This is a type of form that I am using here. So that I will be explaining you in the training detailed. I have asked the user to enter his name, then I'm again assigning another user task in order to check. So I have added user task just to show you that how to break the chain of execution. Chain of execution is supposedly if in your project if you want any type of user interaction, how to do it and how the process flow executes through it. Let me name the process something. Let me give the same thing as ID. Now remember this executable button. So it should be check mark only. If you uncheck it, it won't be showed in the deployment. Now let us save our process. Now in the modeler, in the new modeler, it also gives you a direct option to deploy to the Camunda engine directly. How you can do is that you can see here there is a button showing up sign. Go to it. It is asking us first to save the diagram. Let us save it. Now again it is deploying it to the endpoint. As you can see, it is using the engine. This is the REST API of Camunda. So it is internally using this REST endpoint in order to deploy the particular BPMN process. Showing us deployment succeed. Let us see in our cockpit if the deployment is succeeded or not. As you can see here, there is one process definition that is being deployed here. Let me open it. Demo BPMN process. Now let me go to task list to start a process instance of it. Start process. As you can see here, it is showing demo BPMN process. Click on it. Business key. Camunda provides us an option to provide a business key. So in order for categorizing the process instances that will be running specific to a business process. Let me name it say scenario. I will give you a use case how the business key is helpful in practical scenarios as well. Let me start this one first. It also gives me an option to add certain variables to it. Say supposedly I age. Start. Now, as you can see here, there isn't any task that is being shown here. That is because there isn't any task filter that is created. Let me add a simple filter. So it will be showing all tasks. So as you can see here, if once I added the filter, it's showing me the user task that has been created a few seconds ago. When I open the user task, it is asking me to specify my name. This is the form that is being opened here. I can see the diagram as well. This is the assignee. So I had assigned it to myself. So that's why demo. Now in the cockpit, you can see what is the state of that process instance. Basically, cockpit is used for dashboarding and all. So as you can see here, I have started the process instance, then I have completed the user tasks, and now it is waiting in the another user task. Here, by digging deep, you can see what are the variables that are specified in the process instance. In the left hand side, you can see there are certain properties that is in respect to the process definition that is being deployed. This is the instance ID that has been created. It is a UUID that is generated from Camunda for every instance. So that's all, guys. So that is just in order to how to run a BPMN process successfully in your local. Now at the end of the training, you will be completing two projects. So the first one will be a multiple approval process based on rule evaluation in DMN. So what you need to do is that you need to have certain inputs from a user, and based on the inputs you will be creating a complex set of rules in DMN with multiple inputs and multiple outputs, and certain configuration will have certain approval persons to assign to it. So based on the inputs and the rules that is being evaluated, you should assign the task to certain approver. Now once the approver approves, then you will be sending a notification to the initiator saying that it has been approved as such. The second project consists of interacting with third party apps to fetch data and then interaction with the database. So what you need to do is that you need to create a process that calls a REST API that is deployed to different servers to fetch certain user data. Now that user data, again you need to pass through that particular DMN that you will be creating in project 1, and based on the setup, if the user approves, after the approval task is assigned to the user, if that approver approves, then you need to make an entry in the Camunda database. By adding a new table to it, you need to add that particular user data in your database if the user approves. So these are the two projects that you will be doing after the training completion. Lab setup, the prerequisite high-speed internet, any desktop, laptop, Eclipse and Maven configured setup, done. Basic knowledge of Java and Spring Boot. After completion of this course, we conduct mock interviews to participants who want to evaluate themselves before applying for a job to understand their knowledge gap. Certification, there are no specific certification for this course as such as of now. Thanks for attending the demo. Please share your feedback. Thank you. Thanks, guys.